Hello and welcome to the Aspirant Network. If you're somebody who's waiting to understand whether what you have studied is enough or not, then this is for you. This is to help you know that what you're doing is enough. This is the Polity Active Learning course on the Aspirant Network. The basic idea of what we've done here for you is we've done a thorough previous year question analysis, and thereafter we have arrived at what exactly it is that you're supposed to study for any subject. So right now we have polity, we have ancient history, medieval history, art and culture, as well as economy coming on soon. So stay tuned for that. And I'll show you how polity works. So this is what it looks like. This is every single thing that you would want to study in for polity for both prelims and mains. Now the idea here is, if you're a first timer, you absolutely must go one by one. You have to go topic by topic, subtopic by subtopic, concept by concept. There is a pedagogy that works here, which is why to understand one thing, you have to understand what is there before that. However, if you're somebody who's attempted this exam before, or you have studied for this before, you studied polity before, perhaps any book is also fine, like let's say Lakshmikant, the polity book. If you've read that before, you have a basic understanding, then you can just jump straight into it and understand what it is that you're supposed to know. So, for example, these would be the main acts you're supposed to know to understand the constitutional and legal history of India. The point of this is to build your vocabulary. This is not a modern history thing that you're doing. So, you don't need to know the context that surrounded a specific act that came around that time, or what was the consequence of that, and everything. Whatever you're supposed to know per act to understand the constitutional and legal history is given here. Thereafter, once you go through all of this, your basics of polity, basically this course, this one, this module, this topic, this will build your vocabulary. After here, whatever you read, whichever question ever comes, even if you don't know that concept thoroughly, you will be able to understand that question and its vocabulary. Whatever that topic or that question is talking about, you will have a thorough understanding and idea of that. Now, how you're basically supposed to study this, I'm going to show you through an example. Let's say that you want to cover judiciary. Now, if you're studying through, let's say, uh, a textbook, or you're watching some lectures or anything for that matter, the point is, once you sit down to study by yourself, when you're taking a look at your notes, these are the things you hunt for. This is how you set a mental schema in your brain. This is how you recall things. So, for example, for judiciary, the first major segment of things that you will be understanding will be about the courts themselves. So, for the first thing here is, what are the constitutional and core principles? You take a look at this and you have these brief questions in your head, right? Especially if you've studied this before, your idea here is not to sit down and make notes of everything. What you are going to do is you're going to go question by question, see what you can answer, what you can't answer. For example, if you're going through about the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, these are the things that you must be able to answer. If you can answer these questions, all of these questions for Article 131, then you can confidently tell yourself that, I have understood the original jurisdiction. I understand all of this. I can move on to the next concept. And concept by concept, you can cover all of these concepts. And once you've done all of the concepts, you have basically done a subtopic. And once you've done a subtopic, then you can say, you can go to the next subtopic. And once you've covered all of them, then you can say, ठीक है, मेरा पूरा judiciary खत्म कर दिया. I have studied all of judiciary. I don't have to worry about it. And next time when you're revising it again, you go through the questions again. You force your brain to sit and actively recall these concepts. You don't just passively read. If you passively read, you will be familiar. What that means is, when the question comes, you will look at the question and you will think, I have studied about this. These were written in my notes in that corner of that specific page number, behind this concept, ahead of that concept. I know exactly where it was placed, but I can't remember the concept. I can't remember those fine details that I was supposed to. That only happens when you force your brain to recall. You have to practice recalling. That is how memory works. It's through practice. And that is the point of this. You have to actively do it. Now, especially so if you're a first timer, I would also recommend that you first begin with the strategy videos that are here. These are also available on YouTube. Just watch these strategy videos. It'll give you an idea of what kind of previous year questions have been asked. Then, and you will also get to know that what is your basic priority order, a very broad priority order. After that, when you look at the importance ratings here, these are another level of priority. Basically, anything that has an importance rating of 3 or more, it either has been asked or is very fundamental in answering a question that has been asked. The greater the number, the more important it becomes. If it's lesser than that, then in all likelihood, it hasn't been asked too much. So, for example, in your basics of polity, this is your vocabulary of polity. So, you have one subtopic dedicated to legal systems and classification. Now, there has not been a question directly on the law of torts and contract law. The difference between municipal law and the importance of international law, these aren't really exact questions that are asked. Hence, the importance rating is very low. But this is a vocabulary chapter. The idea here is, if you know the basic meaning of all of these words, if you know the basic difference between civil law and criminal law, substantive law and procedural law, then when you read a question, you are never stumped. You have a basic idea of it. Regardless, since direct questions haven't been asked, and they're frankly a little unlikely to be asked because this becomes almost pure theory, the importance rating is low. Nevertheless, you do this for every single topic of polity, including current affairs that are added over here. So we already have May, April to July. So for example, these would be the May current affairs. You go through these. If you can answer these questions, it does not matter what newspaper you're following, what course you're following, what monthly magazine you're following. Just ensure you can answer these questions. Then you can very confidently say, my polity current affairs is absolutely sorted. There won't be a question that stumps you. And very frankly, if there is such a question that stumps you, trust me, it stumps everybody. And that question will not ever decide the cutoff. So this is it. You also have revision notes, by the way. So you can click here and that will take you to the revision notes. And these are frankly very helpful, especially if you don't have your own notes sorted for you and you don't have a proper source where you're studying from, then you can utilize these. Otherwise, you'll also find the answers to most of the questions that have been asked in the course. So that's it. Thank you very much. All the very best. I hope to see you soon. You can join the course through our active learning courses over here. All you got to do is click there. The website is theaspirantnetwork.com. We also have an app. The links will be in the description. You can purchase the course and you'll have access for 365 days. Go through it. Ensure that you have sorted out the first basic subject that is there in this exam, that is Indian polity. Thank you.